Hey guys, it's Wags with Ironman 4x4. Today we're gonna be doing an install of our new Raid front winch bumper. It's going on this new Bronco. So I'll take you through all the steps, grab your tools, we'll get rolling. Now before we start turning wrenches, I always like to unbox everything and lay it out so that I know that I've got all the brackets, bolts, wires, extensions, everything that I'm gonna need laid out. You can also kind of see how everything's gonna fit together. So do that first. Now before we rip our OEM bumper off of this Bronco, I just want to mention the adaptive radar cruise control. Now, whether you have it or not, both types of vehicles come with this plastic cover. So when we pop this plastic cover off, you'll see the module's either there or it's not, but all Broncos have this here. Now, if you have the adaptive radar, we're going to be moving that up to our grill, and we've got a relocate kit that we'll go through. But just wanted you to know, we're going to be working on a rack today, but you can totally do this on your garage floor at home. Just whatever's gonna be comfortable for you. You can put the truck in the air or you don't have to. We gotta get this skid plate off first. So I'm gonna lift this thing up. All right, let's drop this front skid plate off. You're gonna have 1, 2, 3, and 4 15mm bolts. So we'll zip these out right here. And these ones, you actually don't have to take out all the way because the plate is slotted. Slide it right out like that. All right, we gotta get these covers off right here. So I'm gonna grab a little clip removal tool and I'm gonna pop these. Oh, they're popping off. And then 2 up top. Go slow so you don't break them because they're plastique. Cool. And this should, there we go. And we'll do the same thing over here on the passenger side. Come on, you. There we go. And I'm gonna take this cover off too. That just pulls and pops off. I'll set that. Come on. Well, you gotta unplug these wire harnesses, these connectors, and you just push down on the tab, which I can only imagine is short for Tabitha. I don't understand why they would call it that. I am gonna pop this clip out here off of the bumper to give us a little more room. There we go. Got it. So grab that 15 that you had from earlier, and we're gonna pull these 3 bumper mount bolts on the right and left hand side. I'm gonna leave one, I'm gonna loosen one, but leave it in just so the bumper doesn't come crashing off. Set those aside. So now, take that on out. And I'm just kind of using my shoulder to hold it. And now, I think we can just take this whole darn thing, you just kind of go up and off. That is heavier than I thought. We got to take this shroud off. So the bottom part, you can just kind of pull. There's some little tabs on the back that you can kind of depress. They were way too happy. You just push down and that comes out like that. All right, shroud's gone. Now we're gonna take this radar sensor off, and you've got these 3 guys right there, and that is a number 8. So we're gonna take that off. That way when we pull this out, we can unhook the wire harness from it. This whole wire harness for this unit's gotta be removed. And I think we're gonna take all this off too. And when I say I think, I'm just, it's because I'm so confident that we know what we're doing. So just don't worry about it, okay? All right, just don't even worry about it. We're gonna get it done right. Okay, so those 3 are out. And then I'll spin this around so you can see. On this side, we gotta unhook that little wire harness. So I think you just push that down like, So we've got this housing that holds our active aero louvers for the intercooler here. We're gonna pull that off so we can get that adaptive radar cruise control wire harness up and out. So grab an 8mm socket. I'm gonna use a shorty so I can fit in here. And we got 1 on the top here, 1 on the top here, and 2 on the front. Okay. All right, so now we've flipped this upside down. We want to remove this wire harness. So we'll take these little Christmas tree plugs. I like to kind of rock left to right so we don't ruin them. There's one. If you didn't have any electronics, this bumper would take like 2 minutes to install. But we got all kinds of fun little gadgets and toys that we gotta change over to adapt. So that's where you spend most of your time. Okay, that's out there. And then we want to unhook this wire harness down there. So it's got a little red safety latch on it. So that red safety needs to be pushed up and away. Then you can depress a little tab and it should come out. Come on. There we go. All right, so we're gonna have to reuse our active aero louver deal here in front of our intercooler, but we need to separate the wire harness because this is one wire harness for two things and we're relocating the cruise control. So I'm gonna cut these guys off, these little clips, and then we will just re-zip tie them. So we'll cut those three, and then I'm gonna grab razor and we're going to start to cut and unravel all of this. That way we can separate the two. All right, so I'm just going to start unraveling this. And yeah, it's just kind of a long process. So I'm going to take all of this off and try to unravel down to here because you can kind of see the way that they wrapped it. It's so much easier if you can just get it started unpeeling like that. All right, check that out. We are now separated. And the goal here is you want enough room that when this is hooked back up, we can pull all this and reach up here to the top of our grill. And that looks like that has done it. So what we'll do is when we get closer, we'll mock this up and then we'll go back and I'll take electrical tape and we'll rewrap it and we'll basically make two separated looms. I am rewrapping this side of the loom up because this goes back to our louvers. So I'm going to do it now. Then we can put the active aero for the intercooler back on. Now we want to take this radiator shroud, which is kind of soft rubber, and we're going to cut a little gap or a slit right back in here. That way this wire harness can fit right here and it won't rub on anything. We'll run it up behind the grill in front of the radiator and get it up to our adaptive radar cruise control. So you can kind of pre-mark, and then you can take scissors or a set of wire cutters, whatever you need, and we're just going to cut a line straight up towards the front. Cool, right there. Now that we've got that done, we can feed this wire back up through here. Shroud's back in place. We'll rehang that. Cool, all right, so that's looking good. All right, now we're just gonna grab those 8mm bolts and reinstall this active aero louver panel here. Now we are going to separate the adaptive radar from the OEM bracket. So grab yourself a flathead screwdriver and this just kind of pops out. So we'll get under here and nice slow pressure. And man, that is like so nice to have something that just easily comes apart. Look at that. There you go. So we can set this aside and then we're gonna build our Ironman 4x4 bracket, which is gonna wind up looking like that. We'll put it all together. So you've got these two pieces here. I've already kind of started the hardware. There's a slotted hole on this bracket here. And you want that at the bottom, right there like that, because this will give us adjustability. When we bolt it to the front of the grill like that, then we can aim it and swing it around. That way we can fine tune it and make it totally fine and tunable. So get your hardware pack right here, cut it open. You're gonna want 3 flat washers and 3 nylock nuts. I've already done one, so you got 2 and 2. Run the bolt in. Bolt head on the inside, nut on the outside. And you just stick them together, line up the holes, We'll pop that through. We'll put a flat washer followed by a nylock nut. We've got the 2 top ones done. Same thing on the bottom. Flat washer, nylock nut. Okay, and then we'll tighten that down, but don't lock it down because we want that to have some adjustability in it. Okay, so you want to take 6 of these guys, these little lugs. You know what they look like to me? They look like the little ghosts from Pac-Man, don't they? Like a one, but with just only one eye. Sure hope we designed them right. Okay, so these are gonna go in here like that, but they won't fit yet. Why won't they fit? Because we gotta take these little rubber grommet deals out. So these are the little tabs. Again, just you wanna push those in like little barbs and then push down. And once it starts to go, you can flip it over and you can get to it right here. And we'll just pop it out just like that. So we got those guys all out of there. So grab your little Pac-Man ghost and we're gonna put 3 on the back side here. And then we are gonna take these 3 bolts, drop them right through here. There's 5 total in the kit, 2 go on top, 3 go right here. So I'm gonna kind of brace them. And then we are dropping all of that right down here like so. Man, I am nailing this. Flip it right side up. We're gonna take 3 more of these little Pac-Man guys. Drop them in here. Okay, so you see, so these are just spacers for front and back so we don't damage the plastic housing. Then you're gonna go 1, 2, 3 flat washers. And then you've got 2 flange serrated nuts and 3 nylocks. Grab the 3 nylocks. Nylock. Sounds like an alien or something. Nylock. And that is kind of mocked together. And you can tell by the way that it is. So now let's go grab some wrenches and we'll get it all bolted down. I'm gonna grab a number 5 Allen key and a 13 socket, and we'll just start tightening everything down. Now, as you tighten this down, you wanna watch for those little Pac-Man Ghost spacers, because if they slip out of the pocket that they're in, you could tighten it down and crack the plastic housing on the radar. So watch for that. Snap, just kidding. That is how that should look. See, and then you got some adjustability there. Now let's tighten down those guys. I have got a 10mm socket, and this Allen is a number 4. So we'll keep that tight there, and we'll start tightening these guys down. Now I'm going to tighten up the adjustment slot. Okay, I'm going to leave things snug, but still loose. So after we get this installed, then we can lock it down when we get the positioning correct. All right, let's go up top, pop your hood. We're gonna pull this whole radiator top plastic shroud piece off. I start down here because you gotta pull this air intake off. So as you pull these clips up, just go slow because you don't wanna break them. All right, so we're gonna do that just down across and get them all out. We'll pop that off. All right, get the last one here. Set those aside. This should pop up and we can snake this guy out. All right, we got 2 connectors we have to undo. This is the fiber optic for the front camera, and underneath it is the sprayer for the camera. So pretty simple. Press down on that little brown tab, and if you can't do it, use a screwdriver. There we go. Push down hard, so that's disconnected. This one, you squeeze both sides in and it flares out, and then you can pop that out. Now that might leak a little bit of fluid, but it's just windshield wiper fluid, so no big deal. We gotta get the grill off this thing, so grab a 10mm. We're gonna pull 1, 2, 3, 4 of those off for starters. With those 4 10mm out, it is time to pop and unlock this grill. So you can start by pulling down here, nice and easy, and you'll feel it start to come apart. And then when you get out here by the headlights, kind of grab up top. There you go. You just want to be muy cuidado. We got to get this inner grill off because we got to pull some louvers out. So the silver tins are on the outside and the black ones are on the middle. Also, if you get confused, just take your phone and snap a picture before you take things apart, and then you'll know how it's supposed to go back together. Cool. Now to get that inside grill out, we actually have to pull the headlights out of the truck. To pull the headlights out of the truck, we got to pull this lower valance piece, body piece out. To pull that out, we actually have to pull the fender off and get up here in the wheel well. So these are toolless little fasteners here. Ford made it pretty nice. You can clip them on and off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quattro. So you just turn them. And there we go. Couple little clips also holding it in. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go do the same thing on the other side. Oh, cool, that is off. All right, now we gotta pull the headlights out. So I'm gonna start with the driver's side, grab a 10 mil, and we're gonna pull this bolt right out. When we're done with that, we're gonna take the clip removal tool and pull that little plug out. So there's the 10. Set that down. Sweet. That is out. Now we'll swap out to an 8 mil. And this guy right here. Cool. I'm gonna take my little clip removal tool. I'm gonna put it right here behind the headlight. This is all free and ready to go. And I'm gonna pry a little bit, and that just pops right out. Now, as you pull this out, don't go too far because we're gonna get it behind here and we'll pull the connector. So just push, that slides off. We'll set that aside, nice and safe. We'll do the same thing on the other side. We're almost ready to pull this guy off. There's 10 mil bolts, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I pulled those out already. I'll pull this one. Double check because you've got a wire harness over here on this side. That's free. Over here, make sure your washer sprayer and your fiber optic camera cable are unclipped from each other. And I think this just pulls right out. Pop this wire harness out just by pulling that little Christmas tree clip. Okay, the grill's out. We need to remove this top louver. So what we'll do is we'll flip it down. Make sure you're keeping yourself oriented in the right position here. So left driver's side, we have this bracket right here. If you look down, it's just clipped over. So we'll pop the front one off. You'll feel it kind of click. 1, 2 in the middle, 3 in the back. So as you start to work these like that, you can take it from the back side and pull up, and that will unhook from all 3 of these louvers. And this one on the top takes a little bit of maneuvering around. We're gonna take the top 2 fins out. So grab a flat head or something to pry it, and we'll go to the other side, the inside. There we go. And I'll do the same thing here. So see here, that little pin, that's the through pin. It's in the housing, and that's what we're trying to rock back and out. So I don't want to break it, but you just give it a nice twist and they come out. All right, now I'm going to show you where we need to make some cuts. So with your grill laying face down, so this would be like on the back side of the truck, I'm just going to take a silver paint pin and we're going to cut away this rib right here. That gets cut. This gets cut. I'll make a little arrow so we know what we're cutting. That gets cut there. And at the bottom, we're basically coming straight down and we're just cutting all that out. So we're just making a big C cut right there, straight down. I'll rotate that over. Over here on this side, we'll just continue the cut right through there. This cut goes here, right through there, and back over the top. And I think if we're careful, we can make this look pretty clean. Now, grab your tool of choice, whether that's a jigsaw, cut-off disc. I'm actually going to use my little DeWalt multi-tool, and we will get that cut out. By the way, I'm cutting inside of my cut lines because you can always take more off if you need to. So I'm going to cut a little bit narrow, then I can always clean it up. All right, last thing we need to do, see that little octagonal cutout right here? This little hole right there needs to be opened up to fit an M10, like that. So grab a step bit or a drill bit, and we're gonna open this up. It's nice soft aluminum, so you don't need to go crazy. Perfecto. All right, check it out. Look, we did stuff. This is cut out. These top two louvers are gone, which is awesome. Now we can put it back on the truck. We drilled this out. Don't forget, we've got this slit right here that we cut earlier. So we're gonna take our wire harness. I'm gonna fit it back through there, just so that's all prepped and ready to rock. I'm gonna pull this wire up with me. The bottom needs to fit underneath the radiator. And this just lines right back up. Don't forget, we gotta hook this back up. You don't have to do it right now if you don't want to. Like if you're tired or something, or if you're busy, but I'm here, so I'm gonna do it now. Now we're gonna get those 4 bolts and we'll put them back. Nice and easy, pleasy, because it's plastic. There we go, 2 on this side, and this grill is back on. Now before we get this unit installed here, we got one more thing we want to do. This little clip and this cable, this is your hood release. So we're going to pop this cable out, because if we don't, it's going to get in the way of this guy, our connector, and we don't want that rubbing on any wires. So drop this cable down. We will pop this out with a little clip removal tool. It's just like a little, Christmas tree plug. And then get yourself a drill bit and see how this just dips right down here. Right in the center, between that and that, right in the center here, we're gonna drill a hole right up on the underside where we can plug this back in and just relocate it off to the side. The reason why it's gotta be here is you have a rib, a welded rib right behind here, and then you've got some more support stuff here and here, so. Push that back up in there. Ooh, that's better than what Ford did. All right, so check it. Ironman gave you 2 of these setups to go here and here, but we were half kidding. You only need 1 set, just for the left-hand side. And that's gonna go here in the hole that you drilled out. This side over here, that's gonna use your OEM hardware that'll just drop right back into place. So this fits in, this bracket fits in here, that drops down, and then we're gonna go flat washer and serrated flange nut, and that is all gonna go back in here. So I'm gonna use a number 5 Allen key here, and because the nut is flanged and serrated, as long as you've kind of got it a little bit tight, it's gonna bite down on its own. So I'm just gonna get it snug for now, because again, you're also trapping plastic and aluminum, and we haven't put the hardware in on this side yet. And another reason why it's good to tighten up this hardware and leave this one loose is because we can slide the bracket out. We can take our wire harness, our connector, snap it into place. So that is all on and locked down, and then we can rotate it back to where it is supposed to live. All right, now we can get these 1, 2, 3, 4 coarse thread 10 mils back on. That's what's gonna hold this louver at the top. Now we'll get our driver's side headlight in, start with the wire harness, click that in place, and then we're gonna try to line up this locating pin. It goes right back in there. This goes up on top like that. Cool, that snapped into place. This little Christmas tree plug, plastic plug goes back in here. That just presses down in. This black 10 mil, just thread that in finger tight there. This silver number 10 goes right there. And then we've got an 8 millimeter that goes right here in the front. Cool, we'll do the other side. All right, with the headlights on, we can put this lower body trim piece on. This is all held in place with clips. So just line it up. There's a locating pin right here, kind of off to the center and the left. Just a little bit of pressure to pop those in. And as we slide back, now we'll get the fenders snapped back on. Just an easy push on, and then we'll lock these down. 5 of those. Sweet. Headlights are back in, the louver grill's back on. We've made our cut. We've mounted our adaptive cruise control bracket and unit. Because everybody's trucks and suspensions might sit different, you might have more rake on your truck. Put a level. I set it at 0 degrees. Now what Ford says is if this unit is angled up, it's going to be less sensitive. And if you angle it down, it'll be more sensitive. I set it at 0. We'll go out and test drive it. If it's too sensitive, we have some adjustment. We can move it up a little bit so it's not so, sensitive. All right, so we still have some disassembly we need to do. I'm gonna grab the grill. We'll flip it over. We're gonna pull the front camera out so that we can relocate it into the Ironman 4x4 Raid front bumper. I've got a little 1/4" T27 Torx bit. I'm gonna pull these guys out, remove this bracket. We'll work these clips and we'll pull our fiber optic line and our sprayer line all out. There it goes. So you just kind of want to work your way down, popping all these clips out. Okay, then we got one more Torx. Camera comes out. It's front housing. That is what we want. Now we got to get our wire harness out of the factory front bumper. Be careful because these sensors down here, your SRS, and if you tear one of those wires up, you're going to be in big trouble. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to push all these little Christmas tree clips through. We'll get our parking sensors out. These are all 13s. All these guys are a T40. And to get the parking sensors out, you just push down on the bottom tab, kind of pull up on the back of the sensor, pry both halves apart, and kind of clamshell open. Just wiggle them right out. Well, that side's done. I'm gonna call this RO for outside, right outside. This will be right I for right inside and left outside. All right, our wire harness is out. So I've got our parking sensor wire harness all cleaned up. I pulled out all these clips, kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And then because we've marked all of our parking sensors in their position, makes it easy for us to know what we're gonna do. So we're gonna pop this apart. We've got a provision here, a little cutout. So we're gonna run that wire under there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Then we can click it back together. And then let me show you how you build one of these little parking sensor assembly packs. So take one of these little gray squishy watermelon things and one of these gray caps. What you're gonna do is you're gonna peel off the adhesive on the back side, and there's a little locating pin there. You push that through, you push this down, you pull the pin, and you frag out. I'm gonna run this back through here. We're gonna take our parking sensor, we're gonna clip it in, push it down, and then this cap fits right over those two little arms. I am just trying to clean up some of this cable management. So I've got some zip ties here, and I'm gonna get this SRS sensor cable tied down, just like that. And these little holes in this ridge, that's what they're for, is for your cable management. So just take your time and get it all stitched together. We threw in a couple extra parking sensor extension harnesses for you if you need them. We don't, so just spares if you're running something different, a way that we didn't plan for you to run it. They're there if you need them. We've got our parking sensor wire harness all zipped in. Now is a good time to get your pod lights installed because it's a lot easier doing it on the bench and trying to put them on in the truck. So if you've got your lights, get them installed now. Now that your lights are in, don't forget to put this gravel guard. You can run your pigtail through the center hole there. This will keep gravel and stuff that kicks up, keep that stuff protected. The size of these Allens is a 4. All right, let's get our camera relocated into our front bracket here. So we're gonna grab this bracket, grab your camera, that fits in just like that. And we're gonna take this little backer plate, and that is gonna drop right behind the camera, and it kind of keeps everything locked into place. Then we're gonna grab an M6 button head. We'll push that through. We'll put a M6 washer on it and a nut, nylock nut. So I'll get that on finger tight. I'll do the same thing on the other side. This is gonna be number 4 Allen and a 10 mil nut. Taking this button head screw and I'm putting it right in there with this serrated flange nut. This camera bracket now mounts to the underside of your bumper bracket. All right, let's get this light bar bracket together. So we're gonna grab this bracket. It's got the dog ears. That's gonna go up against the light bar. Then we'll grab a washer and this button head. Get that started in there. I'm gonna grab a number 5 Allen. There we go, we'll get that locked down. Same thing on the other side. 2 of these little ones here. Spring washer, flat washer, and a nut. This is a 13. All right, once you get your light bar in and kind of set and adjusted how you want it, you can grab some zip ties and get your cables all locked down so they're not flopping around. All right, let's work on our camera fiber optic extension. So I think what's gonna look clean is I'm gonna take the factory wire harness off because I wanna keep that closer on the truck side. And it's gonna be easier to work with this. So I'll pop that off. I'll take this. It's got the 90-degree with the swivel. I'm gonna cap that onto my camera, just like that. And then I can run that nice fiber wire up like that with all the rest of my cables. It'll look nice. I can run it down the inside of the hoop, into the bar, and back up into the truck. Actually, it goes the other way. It will go this way. So I'll undo these zip ties, redo it, but that's how you wanna route it. We'll route it that way, and we'll also route our sprayer, our camera spray washer, that way too. And if your kit came with a section of windshield washer spray hose, you want to grab that. I took my factory sprayer and I cut the fittings out of it because I didn't want all the 90 degrees and all that. So I'm going to take this guy here. I'm going to fit that on like this. Then I can plug that back into the sprayer at that junction there. That keeps it nice and clean. Then we can twist that around. And then everything can run up right behind the light bar, and we'll run it through here. I'll put the other fitting on the other end. We can hook it back up into the truck. All right, we're ready to get the hoop installed on the top of the bumper. So we'll knock out these little plugs right here. And I'm gonna knock out all 3 of them because the big one is the pass-through for the cabling and the 2 little ones are for the bolts. So once you knock these out on both sides, we'll grab the hardware, we'll get it fitted, bolted down, and we are getting close. All right, so we're gonna pull from these 4 cap head Allens. It's a number 5 Allen. And we're gonna go flat washer on the top. We'll feed that through. We'll go flat washer underneath, split washer, and the nut. And we're just gonna do that 2 on this side and 2 on the other side. Get it locked down. The bolt's gonna be a number 5 Allen, and the nut is a 13 millimeter. All right, we got our license plate holder put on the front, so that's easy to do. I'm also gonna put the fairlead on if you're running a winch, because now's a really good time to do it. So pop the bolts in, and there is a flat washer, split washer, and a nut on the back. And we will get that on and spin it down now. Get a number 8 Allen key for the front, and a 19 for the nut on the back. And then we can lock that fairlead down. You can do it fairly good. Cool, that's on. All right, so we need to take this threaded nut plate out from behind the frame horns here, and it's got a little plastic retainer nut right there. So that can just spin right out. And once you pull that out, that's what it looks like, by the way, in case you're curious. I know you are. You got one right here too. So spin both of them out. Cool. Now that comes out. And that is what was sitting behind here. So we'll get rid of this. We'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, we're gonna do this. It's a little tricky, but stick with me. This internal reinforcement bracket for the frame rails stamped with an L for left-hand side. Orient it like that, these 2 slots forward, long slot up and down on the inside. It should look just like that going in. Now, it's kind of a pain to get it up in here, but wiggle it around, up and over that little lug back in there, and these are gonna line up, and it should line up flush. That should sit. So don't put your bolt plate in yet. Now we'll go to the outside bracket, just like this. It's got an L for left. This is gonna fit right in here. Now, while we're holding everything, take your recovery point, and this outside of the recovery point, that needs to hook around and over that outside reinforcement bracket. Now that we've got that together, take this single bolt plate, we'll feed that through, just like that. I'm gonna take one of these clear plastic retention kind of nut square things. That will just kind of hold it in place for me. We'll grab the double bolt plate, feed that back through everything. So you can see that is the assembly process there. Cool. And that now should hang. And don't forget, at this stage, we've got our inside, outside reinforcement brackets. We've got our bolt plates pushed through, recovery point set. Now you're gonna be tempted to wanna hang the winch tray, but we've still gotta put this crush sleeve and this cross bolt through, and you've gotta go through the front of the frame rail. So feed this through with one hand. You'll see the holes right back there. Get your bolt with a washer on it. Push that up. And as you feed it through, you just want to get that bolt started through that crush sleeve. So once that crush sleeve is in there, just like that, you can run the bolt through the other side of the bracket. There we go. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Before I do that, I'm gonna mock up the washer. We'll get a flat washer on the inside, a split washer, and the nut. And we'll leave it loose for now. These are 16 mil bolt and nut. Cool. We'll do the same thing on the other side. All right, now we've got our winch tray, and that is just gonna hang right over. And then if you were smart, you would have a couple nuts ready to spin on there. Haha, right there. So we will go washer split nut. Okay, same thing on the other side. And once we grab a couple threads, it'll hang. All right. Spin all these down. Okay. So I will just leave that hand tight for now. And let's go get our winch installed. So if you have an Ironman 4x4 monster winch that you want to put on, now's a great time to do it. All right, we have got our Ironman 4x4 9,500 pound monster winch installed on the winch tray, which is great. I know we kind of cut ahead on some steps. I don't know what kind of winch you're going to be putting on your truck. You should put a monster winch on it because they're great. They have some amazing features. We're the only ones that actually do a vented snorkel line. So if you do dunk your winch under the water, it won't suck a bunch of crud into the seals, which is really nice. So you should check it out. I've got everything routed up here to my remote solenoid control box. I'll show you the mount and how we're gonna get that because we designed a special mount to give us extra room because these Broncos are really tight and they don't give you a lot to work with. Before we jump into that step, let's get the winch tray, which I loosely fitted here. Let's get that all locked down. So you can grab an 18mm wrench or socket. I'm gonna do some tightening with some lightning and we'll get going. We're gonna grab a 16mm socket, 16mm wrench, so then on the inside, there we go, and lock it down. There we go, we want that nice and tight because that's gonna crush down and hold everything in place. Ironman 4x4 and the engineering team designed this bracket for the control box. We've got this great space here in front of the battery box. So we are going to bolt the solenoid box to this plate. This plate is going to bolt down onto the battery strap bracket right here. Now, this Bronco is a 4-banger, so bolting this onto this bracket, bolting it down to the battery tie-down strap, this is all gonna be nice and tight and secure. If you've got the V6 twin turbo motor in your Bronco, there's another bracket that bolts right here for you and ties down to a mounting point right here. It's gonna be really, really obvious. So I just don't have the V6 Bronco here to show you how that works. So you can imagine with me. All right, last point on this plate. You may be using somebody else's winch, which shame on you, get an Ironman winch. If you are, the pre-drilled holes for this box aren't gonna be set up for whatever box you're using, but not a big deal. Just grab, mark your holes, punch a hole, drill it out, bolt it on. You can kind of make it universal. So this will work anywhere in the universe. So just to kind of hit it one more time, whatever solenoid control box you're using, make sure, get it mounted in place, check your clearances. For this, we want to make sure we have access to the plug for our wireless dongle or for the hardwire cable. And then we're just gonna bolt this 13 back down on the battery strap. So I'm just gonna push this as far back up against the battery as I can get it, and we'll just hammer down. There we go, nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. That clears, sweet. Okay, now I'm gonna loosely fit the grill back on, and you've got these little locating pins that go right here by the headlight, so that kind of helps guide you in. And I am just gonna maybe give it a couple snaps on the bottom because we still have to run our front camera, fiber optic, and sprayer. So it might have to come back off, but we'll hold it here for now. We'll grab the front of the bumper shell. We'll get that fitted on and then we'll kind of know where we're at. We're ready to hang the bumper shell. So we're gonna grab these little nut plates that are shaped like a C. I'm gonna tuck one in here. It's got this popsicle stick tab. I just bend them back and then they'll hang in place. I did the same thing over here on this side. Look, if you've got some masking tape, you can always just tape them up in place if you're doing it by yourself. That can make it easy too. Tape is always our friend. I've got our hardware, 3 bolts with spring washers, flat washers, bolts sitting there. Those will go here, 3 over there. I'm gonna grab my good buddy, Chris Hull from Australia. I'm gonna fly him in for this. Chris, I need you to fly in for this. And boom! Dude, how that worked? I can't believe that worked. Sure, all right, let's do it. Dude, thanks for helping me out.
So.
Okay, I'm on the outside of that flange. So grab your bolts, line them up, and put them in. Cool. I got all 3 sets in on this side.
Yeah, my third done as well.
Nice. Hey, thanks,
I can't
man.
believe you flew me 16 hours for this.
What?
I'm out.
What?
I'm out.
I have more to do. Don't go, help me. Okay, so grab some fish tape or a hanger. I'm just gonna use a piece of TIG wire that I have over here on my welder, and I am gonna fish this down behind the headlight. There's a gap right here. Throw a flashlight or some light down below, facing back up, and you can see the pathway clear as day. So I'm gonna drop that down. Then I'm gonna move down here to the underside, and I'm gonna run my fiber optic camera cable extension and the sprayer. I'm gonna just tape these onto the end of the TIG wire with some electrical tape, and then we can fish it up through. I wanna go crazy because you gotta pull it all back off, but I don't want that piece of TIG wire slipping out either, so. Cool, all right, and then we just wanna be careful as we pull it up. And again, that's what makes having light down there nice. We don't have far to go. We just don't want it to get snagged on anything. Well, there we go. All right, we've got our front camera relocated. The sprayer line is hooked up. The fiber optic extension, everything's hooked back in to its factory location up here. The grill is clipped on, but we need to bolt it down. So grab those 4 10 mil bolts that we've got set up here. I kind of started them already, but these guys, and we will zip down all 4. I'm gonna give it a little bit of front pressure just to make sure it seats back where it came out of. And it's plastic, so go real easy. I just barely get a click, and then I come back and I hand tighten them. Let's get this radiator, top radiator cap shroud put back on. To do this, we've got all of our, well, that's garbage. We got all these clips, so you don't lose them. And then we gotta pull up on our airbox intake ramp. And you just kind of wiggle it underneath there. All right, that is all set where it needs to go. Now we can just pop in all these little clips. So drop them down, make sure the top is up. And then as you push it in, you can lock it down, and we'll keep working our way down. All right, everything under the hood is done. So we can get this thing closed up. There we go. Sweet. All right, we got to get our main parking sensor wire harness plug connected, and that's going right up in there. Now we just need to get the bumper locked down. Grab a 16 millimeter ratchet or a socket, and you want to line up, so kind of check your alignment. If your truck sits level, you can always throw a level on here too, but I'm looking at kind of my gap and spacing on the body. And if things are off, I'll always tighten kind of the high side of the bumper down first, just get one going, go to the other side, line that up, tighten one bolt. Then you can kind of get it positioned exactly where you want it. This has adjustment up and down, in and out. So yeah, get it to how you want it set. We've also got pinning bolts. So if you have a right angle drill, you can drill through both of the mounting plates, set that pinning bolt that'll hold the position of your bumper too, if you want. Last thing to do is get the skid plate bolted back on. So we've already got our 15s hanging under there, that's slotted. So we can just slide that on and then line this up right here. There we go, get that started. Grab a 15 mil socket. You guys, we are done. That is the Ironman 4x4 BBR 089 Ford Bronco Raid front winch bumper. This thing is on. You've got your lights, you've got high lift jack points, real rated recovery points into the frame rail. We got our 9500 monster winch in there. This thing is set and ready to go. Couple things. Now that everything's tightened, bolted on your truck, you want to get out, you're going to want to run. But we need to make sure that after we relocated that adaptive cruise control, take it out on the highway, run it at a couple different speeds, make sure it's not too sensitive. If it is, angle it up. Not sensitive enough, angle it back down a little bit. Also, your front camera's been relocated. it needs some time to run around and retriangulate itself. You should be good, but you wanna make sure everything's working. If you have any questions, reach out to us, Ironman4x4America.com. We can help you out over there.